Flashcard, Reg 1M1-01. Filing requirements and filing status question. State the basic tax formula. Reg 1M1-02 Filing requirements and filing status. Identify the various filing statuses. Single. Married filing jointly. Married filing separately. Head of household. Qualifying widow, with dependent child Reg 1M1-03 Filing requirements and filing status. What are the criteria for selecting the single filing status? Unmarried or legally separated from spouse at the end of tax year. Does not qualify for another filing status. Reg 1M1-04 Filing requirements and filing status. What are the criteria for selecting the married filing jointly filing status? Answer. At end of tax year. Married and living together as spouses, or living together in a legally recognized common law marriage, or married and living apart but not legally separated. Reg 1M1-05 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. What are the criteria for filing married filing separately? Answer. At year end of tax year. Married, and if one spouse wants to be responsible only for own tax, or if both spouses do not agree to file a joint return. Reg 1M1-06 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. What are the criteria for selecting the head of household filing status? Answer. Individual is unmarried, legally separated, or is married and has lived apart from his or her spouse for the last 6 months of the year. Individual is not a qualifying widow. Individual is not a non-resident alien. Individual maintained a home that, for more than half the taxable year, is the principal residence of a son or daughter who is a qualifying child or qualifies as the taxpayer's dependent, qualifying relative. A dependent relative who resides with the taxpayer, or a dependent father or mother, regardless of whether he or she lives with the taxpayer. Reg 1M1-07 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. What are the criteria for selecting the qualifying widow, surviving spouse, filing status? Answer. Unmarried at end of tax year, and maintain a household, which for the whole taxable year was the principal place of abode of the taxpayer's child or stepchild. The taxpayer's child or stepchild qualifies as a dependent of the taxpayer. The taxpayer qualifies for this status for 2 years after year of spouse's death. Reg 1M1-08 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. Name the requirements for an individual to meet the definition for a qualifying child. Answer. Qualifying child. Close relative. Age limit, 19/24, and younger than the taxpayer. 19/24. Residency and filing requirement. Eliminate gross income test. Support test. Reg 1M1-09 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. Name the requirements for an individual to meet the definition for a qualifying relative. Support. Answer. Qualifying relative. Support, over 50%, test 50%. Under a specific amount of taxable gross income. Precludes dependent filing a joint tax return. Only citizens residents of US, Canada, or Mexico. Relative or taxpayer lives with individual for the whole year. Note that either the R or T test must be met. Although both of them may be met, only one is required. RT. Reg 1 M1-10 Filing requirements and filing status. Question. What are the requirements for a multiple support agreement? Answer. 2 or more people together provide more than 50% of support, but no one person contributes more than 50%. 50%. To claim someone as a dependent, a contributor must provide more than 10% of support, and the other dependency tests must be met. Support. A multiple support declaration, Form 2120, must be filed. 10%, support. 2120. Reg 1 M2-01 Gross income. Question. When should a cash basis taxpayer report income? Answer. A cash basis taxpayer should report income in the year in which income is either actually or constructively received, whether in cash or property. Reg 1 M2-02 Gross income. Question. Define gross income. Answer. Gross income includes all income from whatever source derived, unless specifically excluded. Reg 1 M2-03 Gross income. Question. Name some non-taxable fringe benefits exclusions. Answer. Meals and lodging, for convenience of employer on employer's premises. Employer-paid educational expenses. Employer-provided parking and transit passes. Qualified tuition reduction. Qualified employee discounts. Employer-paid accident, medical, and health insurance. Dependent care assistance. Reg 1 M2-04 Gross income. Question. Are life insurance premiums paid by an employer taxable to an employee? Answer. Premiums on the first $50,000, face amount, of group term life insurance are not includable in gross income. 50,000. Reg 1 M2-05 Gross income. Question. Give some examples of tax-exempt interest. Answer. State and local government bonds. Bonds of a U.S. possession. U.S. Series EE savings bonds if used for higher education and certain ownership and income requirements are met. EE. Reg 1 M2-06 Gross income. Question. State the tax treatment of property settlements in a divorce. Answer. For a property settlement in a divorce, the transferring spouse gets no deduction for payments made, or property transferred, and the payments are not includable in the gross income of the spouse receiving the payment or property. This is still true even if the divorce was finalized on or before the 31st of December, 2018. 2018-1231. Reg 1 M2-07 Gross income. What are the requirements for alimony to be deductible by the paying former spouse and includable by the recipient? Answer. Divorce or separation agreement must have been executed on or before the 31st of December, 2018 1231. Payments must be legally required pursuant to a written decree. Payments must be in cash or its equivalent. Payments cannot extend beyond death of payee. Payments cannot be made to members of same household. No joint tax return filed. Before alimony is deductible by the payer and taxable to the recipient, any child support due must be paid. Reg 1 M2-08 Gross income. Question. When are funds in a non-deductible traditional IRA taxable? IRA. Answer. Funds are not taxable until withdrawn. Only distributions of earnings are taxable. Distribution of principal, contributions, are non-taxable. Distributions are allocated between principal, contributions, and earnings pro rata based on relative amounts in the IRA account. IRA. Reg 1M2-09 Gross Income. Question. What is the formula to determine the excludable portion of a life annuity? Answer. Non-taxable portion of each monthly annuity payment equals investment in contract. IRS life expectancy, in months. If taxpayer lives longer than estimated life expectancy, additional payments are 100% taxable. 100%. If taxpayer dies before estimated life expectancy, remaining unrecovered investment is deducted on taxpayer's final income tax return. Reg 1M2-10 Gross Income. Question. For premature distributions from an IRA, what are the exceptions to the 10% penalty tax? IRA 10%. Answer. Homebuyer, first time, $10,000 maximum exclusion if used toward first home within 120 days of distribution. 120 $10,000. Insurance, medical. Unemployed with 12 consecutive weeks of unemployment compensation. 12. Self-employed, who are otherwise eligible for unemployment compensation. Medical expenses in excess of percentage of AGI floor. AGI. Disability, permanent. Education, college tuition, books, fees, etc. Adoption or birth of a child made within 1 year from the date of birth or adoption. $5,000 maximum exclusion. 5,000. Reg 1M2-11 Gross Income. Question. Taxpayers are classified into 5 categories depending on the level of modified AGI, which is defined as AGI plus tax-exempt interest plus 50% of Social Security benefits. AGI 50%. Answer. Taxpayers are classified into 5 categories depending on the level of modified AGI, which is defined as AGI plus tax-exempt interest plus 50% of Social Security benefits. AGI 50%. Low income, less than or equal to $25,000 for single $32,000 MFJ. 25,000 32,000 MFJ. No Social Security benefits are taxable. Lower middle income less than 50% of Social Security benefits are taxable. 50%. Middle income. Over $25,000 single $32,000 MFJ, $25,000 $32,000 MFJ. 50% of Social Security benefits are taxable. 50%. Upper middle income between 50% and 85% of Social Security. 50% 85%. Benefits are taxable. Upper income $$. 85% of Social Security benefits are taxable. 85%. Reg 1M2-12